Welcome to WebStarBrush. Almost every website has got a slider. Two most popular sliders are Slick Slider and Flex Slider. Even after using these again and again, every now and then some slider just stops working or just does not show up. I just have templates of sliders that I use to just make sure I don't miss anything and don't waste time on usual stuff. In this video, we are exploring how to initialize a slider and what to do if a slider is not working, even if you have copied the exact code as in docs. Remember this website. This is CDNGS website. You can get the code for popular libraries from here. It will save you from downloading files and extracting required files for sliders or any other library. I will copy CSS and JavaScript files for these two sliders from this website. You can just search for libraries from here and then it will show you files for required libraries and even their versions. You can select the version and you can copy the code, exact code or tag, and you can use that code in your project. This is Slick Slider. If we go to its usage, this is what we need to use: a main div and then divs inside it. These inner divs will be slides, and then slider will be initialized at this main div. And it has got CSS files, and then it has got JS files that we need. And this is Flex Slider. And this is how we use it. This is the structure: a div with class flex slider and then unordered list with class slides. And then we have got a JS code that we need for this slider to make it work. Okay, let's start with Slick Slider. We will need CSS files for Slick Slider that I will paste here. Again, these are CDN links, and this is slick min css file for Slick Slider. It's minified version, and then slick theme min css, slick theme file, and slick css file. These two files are CSS files for Slick Slider that came from CDNJS, and I'm pasting these after bootstrap. And even after these, I have got my custom.css file. After this, for Slick Slider, we will need JavaScript file that I will paste after jQuery. This is slick min JS, minified version for slick JS file, copied after jQuery. Save, and then we will need some HTML for this slider. This is the slider structure, and we've got a class slider for wrapper, and inside the wrapper each div will be a slide. Save. This is the output: just 3 images, no slider. So slider will not just run like this. Reason is we have the slider files, but we are not initializing it yet. We have to point to a class to turn that area into slider, given that our HTML structure is correct. So we have our custom.js file. This is the file, and here we will use document.ready function. Inside it, we will use this class. This is the slider. So slider jQuery slider dot slick. Now Slick Slider will be initialized at area that has class named as slider. Save, refresh, and now we have got this slider. Now it's initialized. Now this slider will work. This is how we initialize a slider. Almost all slider will need an initializer. Now this initializer has got few settings as well. You can change how this slider should behave. Like these are few settings. It should be infinite, and these are key value pairs. These value can be string, these can be numbers, these can be true or false. So it should be infinite, true, slides to show 1, slides to scroll 1, and autoplay should be true, autoplay speed 5 seconds, and dots false, and arrows true. Let's use arrows false and dots true. Save. And let's use slides to show 2, slides to scroll 2. Refresh. Now we have got 2 slides in a row. So this initializer is very useful. It comes with the settings. You can change these settings to change slider according to your need. So dots false, arrows true. Refresh. And now we have got slider with one slide that is scrolling, and we have got the arrows, and dots have been disappeared. Now the slider is working. This is how we initialize a slider. Almost all sliders will need an initializer like this. This is very important. You have to initialize this slider for some area in HTML. Okay, let's take example of flex slider now. Comment, and this will be commented as well. Now we don't need this library now. Also, we don't need these two CSS files now. So files for slick slider have been commented. Now we are using flex slider. For flex slider, we will need its CSS file. It is flex slider CSS minified version. Then we will need its JavaScript file, jQuery.flexslider JS minified version. We will paste it after jQuery because jQuery is dependency. Then it will need a specific structure like this. This is the main wrapper with class flexSlider, and it has got an unordered list inside it with class slides. Inside this unordered list, each li will turn into a single slide. And here can be our content, whatever content we want to use. This is required by flexSlider. flexSlider needs this kind of structure. Save. Like this one. You see this? This is the structure that we will need for HTML. And for JS, this is its initializer. If we see our page, there's nothing to show here. No errors, no warnings. We will have to initialize this slider as well. So window on load, flex slider, animation slide. We can change this class, this is the class and this is the initializer. This is the slider. This is where slider is being initialized, and this is basically the class. We can change this class, this flex slider. Let's use slider2. Save, and let's use slider2 here. So flex slider is being initialized, add class with the name slider dash 2, and its animation should be slide. Animation type should be slide. So refresh, and here we have got it. So this slider is working, but there is some kind of styling issue. If we change back this class, flex slider, then it is all right. Then it has been initialized properly. The reason being, this flex slider class is needed. Now, if I add another class here, I can target this class in the initializer. Refresh, and now this slider is working. So, this flex slider class is needed. There will be some styles in this flex slider CSS file that will be specific to this class, flex slider. So this is needed. Don't forget this, and then get another class, initialize flex slider, add that class. So the animation is slide. We can change it and use fade here. Refresh. Now the effect is fade instead of slide. So initializer with the settings. You can skip the settings and it will follow default configuration. Refresh. It is working. And here you can specify more settings for this slider. And also window on load. You can also use document.ready here. Save. Refresh. And it is working. But if you use window load like this, refresh, and slider disappeared. In console there is an error, right? But flex slider recommended it like this. You see this window dot load, but this will not work for this may not work for latest jQuery. So you'll have to use it like window on load. Now it will work. Or just simply use document.ready. It will also work. Right? So this is how you initialize the slider. You have to follow exact HTML structure and point initializer to its class to make slider work. You will need CSS files for this slider. You will need JavaScript file for this slider that you will keep after jQuery. Then in your custom script, you will initialize that slider. Inside document.ready, you will initialize the slider, and then you can define or you can place your custom settings for this slider inside the initializer. This initializer is very important. Also, if a slider does not work, make sure you check the console for errors. Also, make sure that there is no conflict with other jQuery plugins. And make sure that you're using the right version for slider and not older version. Make sure jQuery version is the version that is required by the slider. These are the things that you can keep in mind to work with sliders efficiently and without wasting time. And you can use multiple sliders as well. Like this was initializer for slick slider, this was initializer for flex slider, and let's uncomment this. That was for slick slider, and let's uncomment this JS file that was for slick slider, and then let's uncomment this HTML structure, and then let's place break between these two sliders, and then refresh this page, and we have got two sliders. This is slick slider and this is flex slider. You can even have multiple flex sliders or multiple slick sliders at the same page. That is also no problem. Okay, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.